Hey everybody, it's your boy Chris Avalon. I wanted to bring you my review of John Wick Chapter 4, which I saw last night. I was going to do it last night, but I was exhausted. So I was like, let me just sleep on it and then take it all in and really think about it. But yeah, I woke up this morning, I was still thinking about this damn movie. I have to say, out of all the John Wick films and maybe a lot of action films that I've seen as of late, this film, in my opinion, is the best action film I've seen in a long time. It is literally a visual masterpiece. It literally felt like a painting at the Louvre come to life. Speaking of which, they did shoot a scene at the Louvre, so that's why I threw that in there. The scene between Winston and Bill Skarsgård's character, which we're going to get into a bit of the other character breakdowns and stuff later on. But for the most part, this was a great film. Keanu Reeves, my Virgo twin, and I call him that because he and I are both born on September 2nd. Yes, we're Virgos. So that's why I call him my Virgo twin. So yeah, he kicks ass in this film. To me, it seemed like he was way more energetic than he was in the previous films. It's been 4 years since we had the last John Wick movie, and he is not playing. He is literally like the martial arts equivalent of the Terminator. Like, he is coming after the high table or anybody who gets in his way for him to fight for his freedom. And I'm here for every second of it. Now, the plot of the film is basically John Wick is trying to find a way out of being killed by the High Table. And so he has a little powwow with Winston, and Winston basically tells him that the only way that you could probably see your freedom is that you have to challenge the Marquis, played by Bill Skarsgård, to a duel. And if you win by sunrise of where you're supposed to be at this church in Paris, you can actually have your freedom. So, of course, within that period, he has to try to stay alive because now the Marquis is trying to find a way around it where he's sending all these people to pretty much kill him. And one of the things I loved about this film is that they do call back to a lot of films that I grew up loving, particularly The Warriors. There's one scene in here where they have the girl who gets on the radio and basically plays a song. They play that song, "You Can Run But You Can't Hide," or whatever. I don't remember the actual name of the song, but I just remember the chorus, how the song goes, because they played it in the original movie and then they played it in this film, so they did like a remix of it of sorts. So I love that there was a callback to a lot of classic films from back in the day, especially like Steve McQueen with the car chasing sequences, and particularly, like I said, The Warriors, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time from back in the 70s, because I do love my classic movies. Now, regarding the action was top notch. There was a lot of things in here, Keanu does his signature judo moves or whatever, which we live for. And of course, he's going to do that because if you're a trained assassin, you're going to go and use the same type of fighting techniques, but bring new things to the table. So one of my favorite scenes in this film was when he visited the Japan Continental, and then he had a scene with nunchucks where he was fighting a lot of these guys with the bulletproof suits that we remember seeing in, I believe it was John Wick 3, Parabellum, where they had like the bulletproof suits, and then they have like the armor piercing bullets and stuff. So they make an appearance back in this film. So him fighting them with the nunchucks and a lot of great action sequences that was it within that. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing Keanu basically try to bring something different to the table. And yes, it was just like, it was almost like a video game, because every step along the way we got something new, we got something different, or there was pretty much a remix on things that we've seen in prior films. So I would say this film and the first one, perfect book endings. And to me, it's just like, that's the perfect kind of connotation of the movies, where it's like you can watch the first one and I could immediately jump into this one and get my full circle moment with this movie. Now let's take a moment and talk about Donnie Yen. Now, Donnie Yen is somebody that I've been following his career since the 90s. Hero is like one of my favorite movies of his. Also Flashpoint, even though he had a small part in Hero with Jet Li. And it comes from that era of movies that, I loved. It was him, this guy here, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Chow Yun-fat, Michelle Yeoh. Those were like Cynthia Rothrock. Those are my peoples from that I grew up watching a lot of those films, where a lot of these amazing martial artists, and they really were just like, you watch the movies and you just see like how they move and all the crazy things that they do in these films. It was brought over here, and I just love the fact that we got to see Donnie Yen showing like, he was very funny in this movie. He had a lot of hilarious one-liners, very sarcastic, which is kind of like my type of humor, where one part was like where the Marquis goes, "Dig about your doter," with the French accent. He was like, "Fuck off." And that part I just immediately burst out laughing from that, because it's like, I get it. I know what I'm here to do. Like, shut the fuck up already. So it just gave me that vibe. So I really loved seeing him in this film. One of the things I was really hoping like his career would have taken off earlier in America was when he did Blade 2 with Wesley Snipes, and he was completely wasted in that damn film. And what I love about this film is that Chad Stahelski, who is the director of all the films, basically respects a lot of people within the martial arts industry because he comes in that world of stunts. He was Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee's stunt double in The Crow. He was also Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the Matrix film. So he understands that world. He understands about safety and all these other things that comes along with doing these type of films and respecting a lot of the people from this era and this genre and bringing them into the Western market. And I have to say, like, with him and so many other characters in this film, this movie is a masterclass on how to really put a martial arts epic saga together. It was like the cinematography was top notch. The action was basically chef's kiss. It was just everything about this movie I absolutely loved. Now there were some parts I feel like in the movie where it dragged on a bit, but for the most part I was just pretty much on the edge of my seat with everything I was seeing in regards to the action, the story building, the talk about friendship and brotherhood and all that other stuff. Now, Bill Skarsgård, in my opinion, is like the best villain that I've seen in all the John Wick movies. Like, we've had our villains and stuff throughout this series, but he takes the cake as far as like being the biggest asshole I've ever seen in this type of film. Like, he was really much, I'm like, this freaking guy is a dick. Like, every little thing that he would say or things that he would do, and I get like his point because he was like a representative of the high table when he's saying like, I'm not trying to kill John Wick, I'm killing the idea of John Wick, where a lot of people think that he could just disrespect the high table, that he's above the table, where they've reiterated so many times in this movie that no one is above the table. So he was like, oh no, we need to set an example. I'm killing the idea of John Wick. And for him playing this character where he don't fight, he basically a little pussy, but he got the money and the wherewithal where he can have people do his dirty work for him. He was the perfect villain for this type of film. I also have to give it up to Rina Sawayama. I haven't heard a lot of people in their reviews talking about her in this film, but her playing Hiroyuki Sanada's daughter, Akira, where she is the daughter of, her father basically is the manager of the Osaka, I should say. Yeah, it is Osaka, right? Yeah, so the Osaka Continental. She kicked ass in this film, and being that, I don't know, a lot of people knows who Rina Sawayama is, but she is a musician, and this is her first movie. She even provides a song for the soundtrack, and seeing how she was moving, I'm like, damn, this chick is quick. Like, a lot of her movements, like, she's literally like Speedy Gonzalez, the way she was fighting people and fucking them up. Like, she literally was kicking ass. In my opinion, is like, I loved Adrienne Palicki when she was in the first one. Halle Berry definitely did her thing in Parabellum, but I would have to say Rina Sawayama definitely did her thing, and I love the fact that Chad Stahelski does also. When he brings female characters into these films and they fight, like, they take on these boys and you don't treat them like they're dainty little delicate flowers. Like, they really get in there and they get fucked up and they fuck people up, and we're here for it. So I like how that whole equal fighting situation goes in regards of, you know, female representation in action movies. Like I said earlier, Hiroyuki Sanada, you know, I love him. I loved him in Bullet Train. You know, he's literally like Mr. Sword Fu, because every time we see him in a movie, he's always fighting with a sword. I also loved him in, wasn't he also in Mortal Kombat? So, you know, I just love watching this guy in movies. Like, he's an amazing actor. I've been watching for a long time. A lot of people don't even remember, but he was in the original, the Asian version of The Ring. So he's been around for a long time. I love seeing him in this film. Like, anytime we get to see Hiroyuki Sanada in an action movie on screen, he basically makes my day. So it was great to see him in this movie. Shamir Anderson as the Tracker, aka Mr. Nobody. He was awesome in this film too. I love the fact that it was just him basically tracking down John Wick, and he was like, I'm not going to kill him until I get to a certain number, and then I'm going to take him out. So basically this unpredictability of his character I loved. And then the addition of having a dog, which you can probably see here. The dog was awesome in this movie too. There's one particular scene that involving P that I lived for. You'll love it when you see it as well. But yeah, he was awesome in this movie as well. Yeah, there were so many characters in this movie that I absolutely loved, and I would go on and on and on, but we'll be here all day. So yeah, Scott Adkins was awesome. There were so many other characters in the movie that was great, but I just want to take a moment and give a huge shout out to Lance Reddick. He was like somebody that I have followed his career since the days of when he was on Oz, and it was sad to hear that he passed away last week. They said of natural causes. So yeah, kudos to him and shout out to him, and I'm sure they dedicate this movie to him too. But also I want to say, definitely go see this movie because it's awesome. You will have a great time. Stop what you're doing. Go see it now. Get your ticket.